Hello everyone, and welcome to the first virtual Baltimore Butterfly session of the season. My name is Annalisa Diaz, and I'm the Director of Artistic Partnerships and Innovation at Baltimore Center Stage, and I'm your host for tonight's event. The Baltimore Butterfly Sessions is a civic dialogue series where we use art to catalyze conversation. And since we're not together in person, we hope you will join us in the chat boxes on YouTube or on Facebook throughout the event to share your thoughts and questions, as we experience a constellation of music, poetry, readings, and speeches. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to offer a land acknowledgement and invite you to do the same in the chat wherever you are watching. Baltimore Center Stage is located on the traditional lands of the Piscataway Nation by the waters of the Chesapeake Bay. These lands have also been cared for by the Lumbee, Lenape, Susquehannock, and many indigenous nations who are still here today. We pay respects to their elders, past, present, and future. In the spirit of making erased histories visible, we also want to acknowledge that the many technologies that we are using to come together today are built of physical materials which come from physical lands, which have been and will continue to be stewarded by indigenous nations across the globe. Tonight's theme is Who Tells Baltimore's Story? We're interested in narratives about Baltimore, both locally and nationally, how they're formed, and which narratives win out. We won't walk away with a singular answer to that question, but we hope that this mosaic of voices will help us deepen our understanding of who tells Baltimore's story. You'll hear music from Baltimore-born Darius Christian, poetry by Baltimore's own Nia June, readings of pop cultural and historical texts by members of the BCS family, and a keynote by longtime Baltimore journalist Lisa Snowden McCrae. I'll turn it over to Darius to get us started, and I'll see you in the chat.
1, 2, take 1, take 3.
I don't know whose heartbeat, yours or mine. Racing breath as our vines are intertwined. Yeah, pounding chests like a drumline, damn divine. Ooh, baby girl, making love to the sunshines. That was my heartbeat, yours or mine. 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 Yeah. Can't be real, I better verify. I need to slap myself to your double. Oh my, pounding chest like a drumline, damn divine. Ooh, baby girl, making love to the sunshines. Hey, it's my heartbeat, yours or mine. It was my heartbeat, yours or mine. It was my heartbeat, yours or mine. It's my heartbeat, yours or mine. Thanks for having me, y'all. My name is Darius Christian. You just heard Heartbeat.
Thanks so much for getting us started, Darius. I'm going to turn it over now to Nia June, who was recently recognized by Baltimore Magazine as the 2020 Best Poet of Baltimore.
My great-grandma be tough to the tissue. Backbone be a bridge between God and men. Got fingers that'll fire bend a feast out of scraps and beat the beast that be empty bellies. My family stay full. Cause my Aunt Betty be baked mac and cheese, chicken and collard greens, got a piece of peach cobbler encrusted on her soul. So we overbaked brown sugar flesh. Yes, my family stay blessed cause my grandma be church. Like Bible verse, like palm to palm, like Psalm 118:17, like girl, you better proclaim what the Lord has done. And my mama be the magic one, all sun, sky, meditation, and peace. But best believe my cousins Dawn, Dominique, Sheena, and Trina be warm with the tongue tied, talk tough like yeah I be. The 500 block North Denison Street, EA, stay round the way up the village bus, really good. My cousin Sakina bad with the fabric. Make a spool of thread sputter, spin and spill into a gown for a goddess like my great-great-grandma Maddie, who be so magical. Her metamorphosis from caterpillar, cocoon to butterfly sound like the music Moses made when he cracked the sea. See, my Aunt Deborah B, a juke jam dance, got diamonds in her hips, dip and jive. And my Aunt Dolores be the party, stay fly, fluids and fleek, nail art to Wakanda, Ghana, Picasso, Frida Kahlo, and my cousin Toya be a creator. Like a mom. No, I mean really, a mom, the epitome of maternity. She'll mother you back to earth because the women in my family are so grounded that when the bullets burrowed in my cousin Davon's body, my cousin Joey's body, their bosoms became a brick house, wombs woven in the walls, so the men and my family live forever in them. They be God, magic moon, they be love, Allah, Oshun, Ashe, Ashe, amen, amen.
Wow, thanks so much for that, Nia. Now we're going to hear a collection of what we call civic texts. These are drawn from pop cultural and historical sources and will be read by members of the BCS family.
From a 1998 Baltimore Sun article by Gil Sandler. Here's the story. Charm City's origins date to 1975. The name grew out of creative conferences among 4 of the city's leading advertising executives and creative directors. They had come together at then Mayor William Donald Schaefer's request. Come up with something to promote this city. I'm worried about this city's poor image.
From the Visit Baltimore website in 2020. Welcome to Baltimore. We are writing a new chapter in our history, fueled by cultural tastemakers and creative entrepreneurs. Today's Baltimore is a vibrant community that honors the past while keeping a keen eye on the future. Our city is where you can see the largest public collection of Matisse in the world for free, sip a craft beer in the sanctuary of a converted church, and stay in a 4-star hotel poised atop an historic recreation pier. But the Baltimore experience is about more than exploring neighborhoods and cultural sites. To really know this place, you have to meet our artists, provocateurs, and visionaries who call Charm City home. Come see what we're all about and plan your visit today.
From the B-side, Living and Dying While Black in America by D. Watkins. My city is gone, my history depleted, ruined, and undocumented. I don't know this new Baltimore. It's alien to me. Baltimore is Brooklyn and DC now. No, Baltimore is Chicago or New Orleans or any place where yuppie interests make black neighborhoods shrink like washed sweaters. A place where black history is bulldozed and replaced with Starbucks, Chipotle's, and dog parks.
A reading from Shock Value, A Tasteful Book About Bad Taste by John Waters. I would never want to live anywhere but Baltimore. You can search far and wide, and you will not discover a stranger city with such extreme style. It's as if every eccentric in the South decided to move north, ran out of gas in Baltimore, and decided to stay.
We'll hear more civic texts later on, but now it's my great honor to introduce Lisa Snowden McCrae for our keynote speech.
Hi, Center Stage. I'm so happy to be talking to you today. My name is Lisa Snowden McCrae. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Baltimore Beat, a nonprofit news outlet here in Baltimore City. I am also the managing editor of the Real News Network, an alternative news source based in Baltimore, specializing in news local, international, and national. The folks at the Center Stage asked me to speak to you today about telling Baltimore's story. Specifically, who gets to tell that story? I think it's because it's something I've been yelling about for the last few years. It's part of the reason why I started my nonprofit newsroom, the Baltimore Beat. One of the first things I learned as a journalist working in Baltimore City was how many people were not listened to. There's a lot of reasons for this. A big one is how white dominant the journalism industry is, not just here in Baltimore, but nationally. How can you tell the stories of people you could never have encountered before? People whose language you don't even speak. This is counterproductive to what journalism is about. It's supposed to be about telling stories, everyone's stories. But how could we if we don't even know everybody's stories? Often in journalism, the stories that we need the most can be erased, or worse, ignored. And those are the stories of people who are poor and Black and brown. Their stories can be messier. My friend and colleague, Brandon Soderberg, along with Baynard Woods, wrote a book about the Gun Trace Task Force, a group of crooked cops who were robbing Baltimore citizens, mostly Black ones. However, Baltimore's Black citizens knew for a long time that police officers had been using their influence to their own advantage. They begged police officers, they begged elected officials for help. It's just that nobody listened. Now, it's more important than ever to listen. People are mourning. Journalist Marissa Evans wrote about this in her piece, The Relentlessness of Black Grief, in The Atlantic last week. Grief in this country has always had an equity problem, and 2020 has only amplified the issue, as Black deaths have come back-to-back blows from the coronavirus, police brutality, and the natural deaths of those we look up to the most, she wrote. Each new death, each new example of an old injustice renews our grief, sending little shock waves of sorrow. In Baltimore, a city that is mostly Black, people are in pain. Even if you aren't one of the residents of this city who has lost a loved one, or a job, or a special occasion to this disease called COVID, you know someone who is. You know someone who is hurting, and it's important to listen to them because they are the way forward. Grief is ugly, and in our society, we often try to hide it, but there can be beauty in it too. We can use this time where we've all been knocked out of the lives that we knew to reevaluate how to live in this new world. How can each one of us elevate the grieving? How can we give them comfort? How can we lift up their voices? How can we fix the conditions that caused their death? One thing you can do if you're white is really sit with and deconstruct the things you were taught about the city's most marginalized communities. A few years back, I wrote a piece for the Washington Post about a tragic incident that happened here in Baltimore. A woman was killed by her husband, but he blamed her death on a panhandler, a Black mother looking for food for her child. Soon, people were talking about cracking down on panhandlers. And even Oprah said she would think twice before giving someone who was begging for money help. Everyone quickly latched on to that narrative, even though, as I said, it was the husband who was responsible for the woman's death. Maybe he even knew that it would be easier for us to believe someone who was poor and hurting. It's also important that we use this time to challenge the root causes of what we understand. So there are people who are quick to blame Baltimore's entrenched crime problem on bad people or even broken families. They ignore the violence of denial of good education, denial of healthy food, denial of clean air and clean water that happens before anyone even thinks about picking a gun. What were you taught that you need to change? Baltimore is an amazing city, full of beautiful people with beautiful stories. But still, even right now in 2020, maybe even more so now, the people that need us the most are pushed to the margins. All of us are challenged. Any one of us who's able to weather this coronavirus in the comfort of our own home, with access to things that most people don't have, are challenged to not only challenge our own internal narratives, but figure out ways to push the people that need the most help to the forefront and pass the mic. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys stay safe and healthy. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your wisdom and insight, Lisa. We're about halfway through tonight's program, and now's the time that we want to invite you to dialogue with us. So we're going to invite Darius back to the virtual stage, and when we do, we're going to drop some questions in the chat box, and we hope that you'll join us there. Take it away, Darius.
Take two.
Deliver us from all of us who made of dust. Remember why we crossed the sky, blink of an eye. I took a shot, I made it in, I want it out. Deliver us from all of us, we're made of dust. I want it out. It's not enough to fill a cup, so pour it out. Breathe it in, take it all, and blow it out. Just molecules inside a pool, so minuscule. Hold me still and show me where you hide. Carry us and put us back inside. Down, was feeling lost in hindsight. Fortified was designed to be a burst of light. I may be on a dumb rock with dim life. Fortified for the ride. Foolish shit that you've been thinking only God is water vapor. Hold me still and show me where you hide. Carry us and put us back inside.
Thank you. That was Deliver-Us. Please go vote and listen to this song. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Darius. Now we're going to hear more civic texts read by members of the BCS family from a multiplicity of perspectives about Baltimore.
From the Washington Post by Michael A. Fletcher. It was only a matter of time before Baltimore exploded. In the more than 3 decades I've called this city home, Baltimore has been a combustible mix of poverty, crime, and hopelessness, uncomfortably juxtaposed against rich history, friendly people, venerable institutions, and pockets of old money affluence.
From a 2015 speech by Representative Bobby Rush. It makes no sense to pillage your own neighborhood and deny your own people. Beyond Baltimore, there is a beyond Baltimore. Beyond Baltimore, we must look at the whole picture of violence in our nation. The violence that has plagued Baltimore did not come out of nowhere.
From a 2019 Baltimore Sun article quoting Nikidra Robinson, founder of Black Girls Vote. When I think about the greatness that lies within our city and our culture, I remain hopeful, whether it is our youth, our elders, our grassroots organizations, our elected officials, or business leaders. So many of us are passionate about this city, not just the bricks and mortar, but the people that live here.
From a 2015 Baltimore Magazine article quoting Dominic Nell. But that's the way Baltimore has always been, he says. It's what a good friend of mine who's no longer around used to say. In Baltimore, beauty and chaos live side by side.
Thanks so much, everyone. Now it's my pleasure to invite Nia June back to the virtual stage.
Around here, communities be corrupt. Cut up in courts from Bruce to Baltimore, braids and beads bouncing from Booker to Baker Street, where Camontes and Keandres got Kamayas for cousins, but cockroaches for companions, concrete for carpet, pots for piss, pipes for throat, paint for skin, pedigrees of poison, legacies of lead lead, elementaries to penitentiaries, Monroe to Mount northbound, slavery to Sandtown, this past plantation of pigmented people, all petrified and pureed, plagued in a public palace, polluted place, police pledged to protect their prejudiced profession, partner position, they project their pistols on pulses of a population so imperial and impaired, immune to this pandemic pandemonium like pop off, trigger pull it, pop, 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 pullets in his pelvis. Pay no mind to the young minds standing by, peeking, peeling blood off their pupils, peeling blood off their potential. Promise, they say protest, 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 but ain't no proclamation emancipating this experimentation from us, the people, product of picking in these poked and posed, postured on platforms, purchased and persevered. Yeah, they tried to kill us, but we still here. Non-perishable, perennial, permanent, persistent projects, 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 projects.
Thank you so much, Nia. Before we close out tonight's event, I'm so thrilled to invite Darius Christian back to the virtual stage for a final song.
This is Bright Young Eyes. 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 Hey, what's up? Hey, yeah. Hey, 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 what?
Bright young eyes hold the key to unity. Bright young eyes see the forest for the trees. Yeah. One day I'll lie inside a big black box. Moss will grow. Waffle,
waffle, waffle on your head, on your head. Waffle, waffle, waffle on your mother loving head. Waffle, waffle, waffle on your mother loving head. Waffle, waffle, waffle on your mother. Waffle, waffle, waffle on your mother head. Waffle, waffle, waffle on your mother head. Waffle, waffle, waffle on your head, on your head. Waffle, waffle. Hey! It's like stop that sound, shaking me right out of bed. One day, aunt your mama on your head, yeah. One day I'll lie inside a big black box. Moss will grow. Young eyes, bright young Thank you guys. My name is Darius Christian. Thank you so much for having me. Please remember to vote. It's the only thing that really matters these days. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Send love to people that you think need love. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. We're so grateful to Darius, Nia, and Lisa for their artistry and their insight. And a big thanks to everybody who took part in reading our civic text this evening. We hope you had a wonderful time, and we look forward to seeing you on December 1st for the next virtual Baltimore Butterfly session. From all of us at Baltimore Center Stage, thank you so much for joining us.
Lost in hindsight. Fortified was designed to be a burst of light. I may be on a dumb rock with dim life. Fortified for the ride. Foolish shit that you've been thinking only God is water vapor. Hold me still and show me